something's got to happen. So someone has to tell them something. Well, welcome to Burnout Business and Body, the podcast that helps you take care of yourself and your life in 3 powerful ways.
Hi, my name's Nicole, and I'm your stress management health recovery coach. Here to help you slow down, reconnect, and rediscover the peace that lives beneath the pressure.
And I'm Belinda Smith, your business leadership and team coach, helping you build a business that supports your life, your people, and your profit.
And I'm Sabine Zalowski, your peak performance coach, helping you to optimize your performance from the inside out.
And in each episode, we explore how burnout, business, and body are all deeply connected and how small shifts across all 3 can create big changes in your energy, your work, and your life. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
It doesn't feel like it was long ago since we talked about the first part of this, which was Battlescars. And this is part 2 of our Battlescars. And the first part, when we talked about what is a battle scar, and we discussed how it shows up, and we talked about the stories we create. This time we're going to talk about a bit more about healing, responsibility, and rewriting those patterns. So when the scars start running our life, wow.
There's a lot of people going around with a lot of scars, and it's heartbreaking to watch because you can see that they're leading from pain, leading from stress, and
And unhealed patterns don't disappear with time at all. They repeat, and they come up with new faces and
disguises.
Masks. Yeah. The masks that we put on to show up to the world.
I'm just thinking about so many places that I've heard over my coaching time, not necessarily in business, but general life coaching clients, relationships, the patterns that when they, or the avoidance even, I don't want to do that anymore. I've had a bad situation. Have you had experience with any of those patterns, girls?
Personally or with our clients?
Either way, you can share.
Either way. Self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is a big one. And self-sabotage will sometimes come from the I'm not enough, I'm not worthy wound that many of us carry. So, you might sabotage a relationship because you don't believe you're good enough for that person.
What about the repeating of patterns?
Yeah, so you will, if you're unaware of the pattern that you're doing, you're going to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. So you will leave a relationship, you will leave a job, and then you'll get to that next job and that next relationship and see that it's all happening again. That person's this, that boss is this workplace is this. And sometimes those things are happening, but if you go from job to job, partner to partner, and these things keep presenting themselves, it's actually not a them problem, it's a you problem that you don't realize has been a you thing. So it's taking a really good step back and viewing it and going, oh, is this actually a me issue? Like, is there somewhere that I've been that I don't know about me? Ask the question. And that might come up for you, the answer might come up for you, but you might start to see that in friendships it also happens. So there will be evidence throughout your life that it is actually a you thing, not necessarily the outside world happening to you,
The repetition.
Patterns show up in, it's repetition. Yeah.
So repeating the same cycles and the same struggles over and over. So the the information or the experience we've had has given us this battle scar, and now we're playing out a story that we may have in business or with a team member, and making things up. I'm going to have a bad day because that person's annoyed me before. I'm going to have the same business struggles. I'm going to be on repeat. And the patterns, what I see is that they don't disappear with time. They just repeat with new faces. Because I can flip the team and have, so I just finish this bit, flip the team, have a couple of core people still on the same team. You may have the same struggles because some people in the team could be on repeat with old behaviours and maybe unhelpful behaviours, and they have a belief that it's external, it's somebody else. And then a new team member comes along, yet the same pattern plays out. Same, attachment to a challenge that you've had. Sometimes it takes a while to figure it out because they can come across very nice and cheerful, but behaviourally it will show up eventually if they've had a significant battle scar that is unhealed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think these battle scars, as well as I know, can become, for some people, they take these scars on, and instead of being empowered by them and using them as tools to help them learn different behaviours, is that they take them on as part of their identity. I'm the person, this has happened to me, this has happened to me, this has happened to me, this is me, this is me, this is me, and it becomes their identity. And they say it so often to themselves and to other people that they have no way of getting off that hamster wheel, that it is their identity. And yeah, I mean, it's just, it's scary because they are so strong in their belief that it is part of who they are, that they can't shift it, and they become stuck in their own making.
Yeah. So what about the cost of staying unaware?
Costly, very painful. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about it in terms of yourself, Sabina.
It stunts growth, doesn't it? It stunts growth. It, how I say is that your potential is stunted because you are in this trap that, I don't have agency, I don't have any control. And we do it all the time. I've done it in my body. I've definitely done it in my work. We've got all these, I've seen it in clients, is we are so sure that belief is us, is our identity, that it's just like, no, there's no way that I can do that. There's no way that I can do that. And it traps us. It caps the ceiling. And we all have so much potential inside. And I see it daily, how much potential is capped simply because the reluctance to change. And it's costly because that's your life. You end up sacrificing the quality of your life simply because you are trapped in that. So it's enormously costly. And I think more so when you're a leader, of course, but also when you're a parent, because if you are showing that you're not able to break your patterns, then you're not showing your children that it's possible. So I think even if you can't do it for yourself, doing it for them so that they can see if you can break those patterns, then they can break those patterns too. So I think it's really important to find that, because it's very costly, and not just to you, but to everything.
Well, it sends you into complete emotional exhaustion, burnout, doesn't it? You might stay in a relationship. You might have that friend that's really tough energy around, but you keep into that friendship, and then you're exhausted when you leave them and you do nothing about it. But each time you catch up, there's that level of exhaustion, and they're taking, it's and you're not willing to walk away for whatever reason. And maybe it's a belief that I don't want to be alone. I'd rather have this friendship than this, or I'd rather have this relationship and stay in it, or I'll be in this work because I've got to pay my bills. And I actually have a client at the moment who is now starting to see where their pattern is, to get out of a work environment that for them is actually really toxic. But they've been staying in it. Well, I have to pay the bills. And then, yes, we all have to pay the bills, but you do have to find a way forward. And a lot of the programming was, when other things were suggested, no, no, no. So there was a lot of resistance to that change. And therefore, the burnout was happening. They were getting a lot of resentment to everyone else out there. But also, under that, you'll find you have resentment to yourself as well, because you haven't taken that. You don't feel strong enough to embark on something that's different, because change is, for most people, there's an element of scariness. What does that look like? Is there uncertainty in that? And that creates a lot of anxiety. So people stay where they know, because of that saying, better the devil you know.
The devil you don't.
So they stay in the situations because it's too scary to move outward. It creates too much anxiety. Their body goes, oh, I'm not safe. My mind's not safe. Boom, crash, let's just stay here. And it drains the life out of them at the end. And they keep playing small and they don't move forward to their full potential, as Sabina's been talking about.
Well, the cost of staying unaware in business or as a leader, or running an old pattern, or even copying behaviour, modelling behaviour from somebody previously, and they could have been okay in one area, they could have been toxic in another area, though we're modelling all of the behaviour because the person saved us or they helped us one time. So we think everything about them is great, and therefore some of the behaviours can come up, like team instability. We can have poor communication, and the trust is the biggest area. The biggest erosion of trust in a team is when you're running really a pattern that's not you, and it's the awareness, because the leader may not have people that can say, hey, I can see this, I'm aware of that. And as a business coach, sometimes I will speak to a leader that has never been told that. When I give them that awareness, the first part of awareness is a framework I use called ADKAR, and the formula to change comes first with awareness. If we're not aware of something, there's no possibility of changing it.
Can change it, yeah.
And this is important. And if the business owner says, oh, I've never recognised that before, but now that's all I can see, and thanks for bringing it to my attention, then they can do something about it. They might constantly be late. They could constantly be chasing their team down for, minute things, little things, and on repeat, because they've been let down before in business. And it can be serious, because, you lose your job, you can lose your business, and certainly, more importantly, you can lose your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, personally, you can lose yourself.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're dishonouring who you are, and you don't know why. So without gaining this awareness and having the support to take the different actions and implement them and move forward, which I know we're getting up to, it's very costly. The price is yourself.
Yeah.
And is that a price anyone really wants to pay?
No. It comes out, where I see it quite significantly is that leaders feel or see that there's a staff problem, that they actually have an unprocessed trust wound, a battle scar.
Yeah.
Right, well, how do we change it?
Woohoo! Well, it also takes, with your awareness, you know, we can do this ourselves. Sometimes it's really, really difficult to do this alone. So there's moments and there's a certain layer of this that you can definitely ask yourself the questions and get some insight. However, finding that right support will allow you to dig deeper. And the reason you want that support to dig deeper is because you really have to be, for you to really change, you have to have emotional honesty. And that is what we refer to as the shadow side, because it's the parts of us that we don't necessarily like ourselves. But if we're not made accountable to take responsibility for how we also show up or how we are, then we don't know how to change that. So having that support is really important, because it's not about judgment. It's not about you judging yourself on it. It is literally about you learning how you do things, then why you do them, and how you can actually change it and differently. And so to do that, you need to feel safe, and you need a safe environment. So that's where your therapist, your coach, um, maybe you have a friend that can be really honest with you, that you feel safe enough with to share. But the deep diving work, I highly recommend with a level of a professional that you feel safest with, and you need to actually make sure that you do feel safe with that person, that you can be really honest with that person. Because if you don't, you're only going to heal to, you are actually ever only going to heal to the level of honesty that you'll have with yourself.
Yeah. Just as a level of where to get help, I've been in a situation where I've never taken on a client if I felt like I couldn't help them. You know, when you have the conversation and you sit down and you have a honest conversation with, you know, what are my superpowers? What am I good at?
Yeah.
Can I actually affect change with this person? And I've referred to both of you ladies
Yes, you
with
have.
clients. I know when we're out of our laneway, but what's really important is recognizing the behavior and getting people with the right help. It's
Yeah.
it's absolutely imperative. You know, it could be we think we might have it, but we just have to listen deeply as coaches and really affect that change. But sometimes I'll have people that come into my sphere that require you know, help with their mental health, and I've had to refer them to psychologists, psychiatrists before they'll come on board with a coaching program. So yes, they might have a awareness, but how we start changing is that the person knows that something's got to happen. So someone has to tell them something,
Yeah.
and when they know that, the change can happen.
And you may not like it. Like, I've certainly needed to admit stuff to myself of like, oh, shit, I don't really love that. However, understanding that it was done out of a survival, what I needed to do in order to survive what I was experiencing. And, you know, and then you do better, you know, once you know better, then you do better, and you never do that again, you know? So yeah, it's definitely that awareness. You need to feel very safe with the person who's facilitating
Sure.
whichever way you go.
Yeah. Well, Sabina, how do we start changing in your field?
I think it can be something that's really simple, by just taking time to build yourself at bookends of the day. Right? So give yourself some time for yourself at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. And it's basically the foundation. So how I put it is all the clients I work with have an open up, they have a list of that opens up shop and we close down shop. And we're very strategic and clear about what we do to our body. And by doing that, it compartmentalizes everything. So then we allow ourselves a little bit of time just to process, set that foundation up. So that's what I would do, is set a few real, just simple intentions to start building that self-trust with yourself, and asking a question maybe every morning, just journaling out a few questions, and things will start to come up for you that you can ask. That's what I would do. Really simple. It doesn't cost anything, and everyone can do it. And I think just and taking, there's lots of information out there. You know, contact one of us to see how we could help you to do that. Yeah, I think keep it really simple and start at the bookends of the day, and then just accumulate them all, start stacking them on. Performance stack is what I call it, but start in the morning, start then at the evening.
And what about the nervous system? That regulation, if let's say the person's getting really disheveled and they're aware that something's been a trigger, what would be a quick way to regulate?
Oh, breath, 100%. Breath, physiology. There's some really simple breath, things that you can do. I find the best way to help yourself is to actually get moving the minute you wake up. Breathe and start moving your body and start shifting things and priming your body to actually what you want. So breath work, and it doesn't have to be anything extensive. It could just be 5 minutes of breathing through your nose into your belly, and then moving your body. That's something that's really simple. Everyone can do, no matter who you are, and that can really start to shake things off.
I detected a behaviour recently with a person, and we talk about fight or flight. So something uncomfortable comes up for somebody, and there's fight or flight. What I recognise is, yes, with this particular person, there's both. So if it's if it's something that hits a nerve, or it's something that feels uncomfortable, it's flight. Oh, I've got to get out of this room quick, and they're sort of darting out. And then something that makes them want to beef and talk about it is they're what's the big deal? And the same person can do the same thing depending on what that I don't even like using the word trigger, but it probably is what that trigger was. The challenge is I've got to get them to sit with fighting or the flight out of there. Just have a sit with that. It feels uncomfortable. Have a breath. Stay in the moment, particularly with leadership. So these things are coming up with the team, and next thing, we're in the middle of a meeting and I got to get out of here. And it's not helpful. The team are really aware of it, and they can see it, and then they think, oh, well, what do we do? And we're not sure what's happened, and we can be sitting there. It's just so important to be able to just to sit with that and keep our team safe if we're having a big reaction. So we have to sometimes just learn new communication patterns. Taking a nice breath, which is important. Yes, it feels uncomfortable. That person might have really, nudged or annoyed me right now, but there's 6 other people in the room I need to protect. Yeah. So building the trust with the balance of the team. And if we do have a challenge, you could have a really difficult employee, a really challenging employee. And I've seen this turn out in businesses where they cannot wait for the person to move on. But that person is liked by other employees.
Yes.
For whatever reason, they're liked by other employees. The employer's upset because they're not doing their job, but the employees don't see that. They might see Joe as a really great guy, and that's all they see. And so when we're really happy that Joe's leaving and we're getting really worked up around that because we really want Joe to leave. They're disruptive, not doing their job, and there's some other things, and you don't want to share it with the team. The real big problem is it's kind of like, let's just, woo, Joe's gone. Or should I get rid of them now? Let's just cut the losses, pay them out, and let's go. I say, well, the only thing you've got to consider as a leader is how the rest of the team feel about that. It's not about Joe anymore. It is till they leave. You know, you've got to have safe passage for them to leave. But the best thing is poker face, keep nice and calm, wish Joe the best. Here's a nice card. We appreciate what you did in the business, and we wish you the best. And they're gone, and then we move on. I say to business leaders all the time, we're not necessarily, if it's really hard for you and it's coming up for you, you're really cranky because he's let you down or she's let you down, be kind to the rest of the team. They're the ones that are left behind, and they don't want to pick up the pieces. So every time that I've ever exited somebody from a business, and the inside I could be thinking, so happy about this, and some of my team members might really, really understand the challenge that we've had, particularly if they've been managers that have been working with me, and they will say, how did you do that? How on earth did you keep composure when all of they've done? I said, I didn't do it for that person as much as I did it for you and the team.
Yeah.
And if leaders understand that, they've got to realise what is left behind. It'll erode the trust with the balance of the team because they won't know all the story. And it just looks like bad juju from us. It looks like we're not acting, strongly as leaders, and maybe we're not safe. So that area of responding and not reacting, thank you so much. I'll give you one example. There was a real great level of joy that I had one time with a very disruptive employee coming out of the business. I was very, very happy. Many complaints. They could not see their behaviour, probably a load of battle scars themselves. Couldn't regulate at work, and the team were getting the brunt of it. So we performance managed the person, and they're finally leaving in the business, but they're such a dramatist. There's so much going on that there's only one way to do it. There's really only one way. We really have to say, look, if we can get all of our work done, it'd be great, because I thought, the notice period, the next 2 weeks are going to be really disruptive. So it's great to let them go, but then it seems like you're chopping them. So we say, look, if we can get everything done and all the files in place and we can check it, how about we let you out of the contract a week earlier, but I need these things done. And so that way, that person didn't check out, didn't leave us in the lurch, leave everything in a shambles. And so it's about, I just regulated myself, calmed myself down and thought, okay, there's just another week. Let's make sure it's not left in a bad situation. We're going to have a nice handover on Friday. And if that's the case, and here's a nice card and a team lunch or whatever we were going to do. And then they left and they're like, oh, so you're going to pay me an extra week? And absolutely, all the best. But we do that, maybe we're trying to save data, or we're trying to save them from making big errors. But if I was really disrupted as a leader in that position, at that time, my team would have had a terrible 2 weeks, because I would have been like, oh my God, they're doing it again, and look what she's doing, look what he's doing, look what they're doing, this is happening, I wonder if they're doing that. I'm coming in early, checking their work, doing all of this, and getting really fluffed up. Sit down, make a plan, make everything really happy, and now they know they're going to get a week's free pay if probably they're not really disruptive. So this might work out in my favour, particularly if you knew what intrinsically motivated them in the first place. If you knew what that was, and in this case it was money and doing as least work as possible, and the one I'm thinking of, then I knew exactly how to manage them. But it was myself who didn't get overwhelmed, and the manager said, I cannot believe how you did that. I said, well, I've got 14 other team members here that are relying on me to be a good regulated leader. I don't need to melt down because of this person, And so that would be that actually is something that I help people with quite often because it's really hard to walk past. But when you've dealt with it all yourself,
Yep.
it's so much easier when it doesn't show up.
Mm.
So
Yes.
sorry, that was a really long story. So
Yeah.
No,
No.
it
No.
was an
No.
important story.
It is
yeah,
important because what people also need to understand is their experiences of the past are not who they are.
yeah,
So the rewriting is really important because you need, who do you want to be, and go be that person.
Mm.
Things look, I don't know anyone yet. I haven't met anyone yet who hasn't had something happen in their past that has influenced them in one way or another, or shaped them in one way or another, that has come to a point where it's been a negative impact. But that doesn't mean that's who they are. It means that they have the time to get the healing, and then they can decide who they want to be and then move forward in doing that. So rewriting your story is very possible. It's up to you. You're the one who has the choice. Do you want to stay attached to that old identity, or do you want to create the identity of the person that you want to become?
Yeah.
So whether that's personally or whether that's in business, how you want to show up, and I think it is each individual's person, their responsibility to show up. We can't control what others do. However, we can control how we respond. We're only going to respond if we've done the work on ourselves that is able to do that.
yeah,
Otherwise, we too will be just equally in there, gung-ho, in a negative, impactful way. So it's really, really important to take a look at this in our lives and how that might be showing up.
It sometimes it may explain you, but it doesn't have to define you.
No,
What's happened to you?
no,
It
no,
explains
not at all.
things. It leaves clues. It leaves us with stories, and maybe I don't know if I want to say this, but a bit of carnage, and we can have that bit of carnage, but we, if our reactions are coming up, we're having big, meltdowns at the wrong time, or if something really bothers us when it probably shouldn't have.
Yes.
I started crying on a phone call with, a delivery driver. This has happened where I've had big responses from customers in the past, and they're absolutely flipping out on the phone. They're like, oh, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. And you just listen and wait, validate. And then if you validate them enough and acknowledge what's going on for them, 5 minutes in, they're like, oh, sorry, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
The cat died. My kid's just run over his toe. I just really need the people to turn up on time. So there's always something else creating that behaviour. And sometimes my team would get off the phone and say, oh my God, that person was impossible. What's going on with them?
Yeah.
They're having
100%.
a big reaction. Something's happening.
Yeah.
I think we have to be more compassionate. And when we're more compassionate to other people about what's going on, about why they're acting, why they're playing up, we're also more compassionate with ourselves. So, and it's something that needs to, there's a reason why they are being reactive. Try and understand why they're being reactive. There's obviously something going on, and look at it from compassion. And then it gives us a lot more freedom to make it not about us, and give us some space. But also, as it means that in other parts of our lives, we can have that compassion for ourselves. When we are feeling a bit flexed, we can ask ourselves why, where is that coming from?
Yeah. And in the rewrite of stories, Sabina, what if your body has just been trying to protect you? That could well be the case as well.
Well, it is trying to protect you, yeah. And I mean, let me think. If your body is protecting you from something by, for example, I mean, I use digestion because that's one of the easiest and it's the most apparent that people see. A lot of people don't have a healthy digestive system simply because they are in that fear. And that shows up as bloating, it shows up as weight gain, and obviously, you know, bathroom issues and things like that. But there's so much more to it. So just actually understanding, just I don't know where I'm going with this, guys.
Well, understanding your
keeping
body.
the score.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if we don't rewrite that story, that emotional pain that's there is felt within every organ, with every cell of our body, and the body keeps the score. So if we don't check in what Sabina has been talking about, you know, we'll end up with illness. And you know, that is something that personally happened to me. And I know that in the beginning, I wasn't compassionate to myself at all. I was even harder. So
sorry.
Continue. No.
I'm back on track. One thing that I was thinking today is about, especially as business owners, right? Or if we're solopreneurs, or there's, you know, we have only a small team and we're trying to manage so many things. And I know a lot of business owners don't take a proper weekend. They don't have a, like I say, open up shop, close up shop. They don't have that beginning and end to their day, and it's completely, you know, they are working all the time. Even when they're at home, they're on their phone, going to bed, they're still checking messages. Your body's always needs to reset, just like a computer. And what happens is your body will, if you are reluctant to listen to it or reluctant to give it a break, it will find or manifest something to give it to be so that you're forced to have a break. So it could be a cold, it could be, you know, I mean, there's just so many. Your body will, it's like I said, you know, it's whispering, and then it whispers a bit louder and louder and louder. And if you're not listening to it, and you think that you can function 24/7, 365 days a year with having one break here and one break there, and your body's going to say, oh yeah, that's cool, then your body's going to say, no, slow down, and it will force you to slow down, and that's when you'll do more harm than good. So just taking a break, especially if if you don't have, make sure that you have some structure in your week, in your day, to give your body a break, because otherwise your body will start shouting and force you to give a break.
Love it. Amazing. You ladies know lots about this. I'll just wrap up and say that healing isn't pretending the scar never happened. It's learning to not bleed on people who didn't cut you.
I like that.
Well, because, you know, innately, I think everyone is just doing their best, and they want to show up the best person that they can be. The lack of awareness means that you may not be. And so, you know, this is the path forward for you to be the best version of you. And life is much nicer when you're on this side of town.
100%.
You know, you handle things better, you're less reactive, you've got the energy to understand. You learn your patterns, you start to see everyone else's patterns around you. You know how to manage those situations and people, and life is just a lot more smoother, you know. So it's worth its weight in gold.
Well, we should
really
make up a
is.
song that's about regulation. It's just
No
saved my
songs.
life.
No songs.
It's just
No
a
songs.
dance.
She'll have us dancing
dances,
Love your
soon.
no
songs.
songs, no dancing,
No.
no bodily noises.
No.
We'll write a poem for you.
I wonder what your battle scars are like.
Oh,
Let's
God.
dig deep on that. Well, that's a great way to wrap up. So burnout, business and body aren't separate, they're connected. And when you take care of all three, you don't just survive life, you thrive in it. We're here to motivate, educate and encourage you to take care of what matters most, and that is you. If something landed with you today, please don't just nod and move on. Do something with it. Follow the podcast, share it with someone who really needs it, and take the next step. Perhaps work with one of us or all three through our 8-step growth master plan, or perhaps book us for a corporate day in your workplace. Links are in the show notes. This is Burnout, Business and Body. Take care of all three always. Bye,
See
ladies.
everyone. Take care.
See you. Bye.